Ever wondered why smart people sometimes make poor choices? The audiobook, Smart Decisions, Avoid These Critical Thinking Mistakes, has the answers. Discover how to navigate complex decisions with confidence, avoiding common pitfalls that trip up even the brightest minds. Learn to harness your emotions, break free from analysis paralysis, and make decisive choices in high-pressure situations. Don't let flawed thinking hold you back. Unlock your potential for success in both personal and professional realms. Before we go on, I invite you to download the free bundle, which contains the ebook version of this book and an executive summary of all the chapters with the key takeaways. Studies show that engaging with content through multiple formats significantly enhances learning and retention. Click on the first link in the description to claim your free bundle now and maximize your learning potential. Now it's free, but it won't be for long, so make sure to grab it while you can. Chapter 1. Why Smart People Make Poor Decisions. Intelligence is often revered as the key to success, yet even the brightest minds can fall prey to poor decision-making. This paradox has puzzled researchers and individuals alike, leading us to question the relationship between intellect and judgment. As we embark on this journey to unravel the mysteries of decision-making, we'll discover that being smart doesn't always equate to making smart choices. Imagine a world-renowned scientist who refuses to acknowledge evidence contradicting their long-held theory, or a successful CEO who makes a catastrophic business decision based on gut feeling alone. These scenarios are not mere hypotheticals, but real-world examples of how intelligence can sometimes lead us astray. The truth is, our cognitive processes are far more complex than we often realize, and even the most brilliant minds are susceptible to biases and errors in thinking. At the heart of this phenomenon lies a web of cognitive biases, systematic errors in thinking that affect our judgments and decisions. These biases are not signs of stupidity. Rather, they are inherent shortcuts our brains take to process information quickly. While these mental shortcuts can be useful in many situations, they can also lead us to make irrational choices, especially when we're unaware of their influence. One of the most insidious biases affecting intelligent individuals is the overconfidence bias. High achievers, accustomed to success, often overestimate their abilities and the accuracy of their judgments. This inflated self-assessment can lead to reckless decision-making, as individuals may not thoroughly evaluate risks or consider alternative viewpoints. The trap of intellectual arrogance further compounds this issue, causing smart people to dismiss valuable input from others, potentially missing crucial information that could inform better decisions. Closely related to overconfidence is the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where individuals with limited knowledge or expertise in a specific domain overestimate their abilities. Paradoxically, this effect can be particularly pronounced in intelligent people who are experts in one field but novices in another. Their success in their area of expertise may lead them to believe they can excel in unrelated domains without adequate knowledge or experience. Consider how this might play out in real life. A brilliant physicist might assume they can easily master financial investing, only to make poor decisions due to a lack of understanding of market dynamics. Or a successful entrepreneur might believe their business acumen translates directly to political leadership, overlooking the complexities of governance and public policy. Heuristics, or mental shortcuts, are another double-edged sword in decision-making. While these cognitive tools help us navigate daily life efficiently, they can lead to errors when applied to complex problems. The availability heuristic, for instance, causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled, often those that are recent or emotionally charged. This can lead to skewed risk assessments and poor choices, even among the highly intelligent. For example, after hearing about a plane crash, even a statistically minded person might temporarily overestimate the dangers of air travel, opting for potentially riskier modes of transportation. These mental shortcuts, while useful in many contexts, can betray us when critical thinking is most needed. The anchoring effect is another heuristic that can lead smart people astray. This bias causes us to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive when making decisions. Even when we're aware of this tendency, it can be challenging to shake off the influence of that initial anchor. Skilled negotiators and marketers often exploit this bias, knowing that the first number mentioned in a negotiation can significantly influence the final outcome, regardless of its relevance or fairness. Emotional intelligence, EQ, plays a crucial role in decision-making, often rivaling the importance of intellectual intelligence, IQ. Many smart individuals excel in analytical thinking but may struggle with emotional awareness and regulation. This imbalance can lead to decisions that look good on paper but fail to account for human factors or personal values. The interplay between emotion and reason is complex. While we often pride ourselves on being rational beings, emotions significantly influence our choices, sometimes without our conscious awareness. Fear can lead to overly cautious decisions, while excitement might cause us to overlook potential risks. Developing emotional intelligence alongside cognitive skills is essential for well-rounded decision-making. Self-awareness is a critical component of both emotional intelligence and effective decision-making. Recognizing our own biases, emotional states, and thought patterns allows us to make more balanced choices. However, achieving this level of self-awareness is an ongoing process that requires constant vigilance and reflection. Blind spots in critical thinking are perhaps the most challenging obstacles for intelligent individuals to overcome. These are areas where our judgment is impaired, often without our knowledge. Personal experiences, cultural background, and deeply held beliefs can create these blind spots, causing us to dismiss or misinterpret information that doesn't align with our preconceptions. Identifying these blind spots requires a willingness to question our own assumptions and seek out diverse perspectives. It involves acknowledging that intelligence alone doesn't make us immune to errors in judgment. By cultivating intellectual humility, the recognition that our knowledge and abilities have limits, we open ourselves to continuous learning and improvement. As we conclude this exploration of why smart people make poor decisions, it's clear that intelligence is just one factor in the complex equation of decision-making. Cognitive biases, heuristics, emotional factors, and blind spots all play significant roles in shaping our choices. The path to better decision-making lies not in denying these influences, but in understanding and managing them. Embracing continuous learning and humility is crucial for anyone seeking to enhance their decision-making skills. By acknowledging our limitations and actively working to overcome them, we can harness our intelligence more effectively. This journey of self-improvement is ongoing, requiring constant reflection and adaptation. As we move forward, we'll delve deeper into specific strategies for recognizing and mitigating these cognitive pitfalls. We'll explore how emotions color our judgments and learn techniques for achieving a balance between heart and mind. The chapters ahead will equip you with tools to navigate the complex landscape of decision-making, helping you leverage your intelligence while avoiding common traps. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all biases or to make perfect decisions every time. Such a feat is impossible. Instead, we aim to become more aware of our thought processes, more critical of our assumptions, and more open to diverse perspectives. By doing so, we can make smarter, more informed choices that align with our true goals and values. As we turn the page to the next chapter, prepare to confront the powerful influence of emotions on our decision-making process. You'll discover how even the most logical minds can be swayed by feelings and learn strategies to harness emotional intelligence for better outcomes. The journey to smarter decisions is just beginning, and the insights ahead promise to transform the way you approach choices in every aspect of your life. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to Grow to the Top and activate notifications to receive more self-improvement tips that will supercharge your growth. And make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you for your support. Chapter 2, Emotional Decision-Making. Have you ever made a decision in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? Or perhaps you've experienced a gut feeling so strong that it overrode all logical considerations. If so, you're not alone. We often like to think of ourselves as rational beings, carefully weighing pros and cons before making choices. But the truth is far more complex and intriguing. Our decisions are not solely the product of cool, calculated reasoning. They are deeply influenced by a force that's both powerful and often misunderstood: our emotions. This invisible current shapes our choices in ways we may not even realize, sometimes leading us to make decisions that seem inexplicable in hindsight. But why is this understanding so crucial? The impact of emotions on our decision-making process is far-reaching, affecting everything from our personal relationships to our professional lives. By recognizing the role emotions play, we can begin to make more balanced, effective choices that align with our true goals and values. Imagine standing at a crossroads faced with a significant life decision. On one side, you have carefully gathered facts and data, meticulously analyzing the situation. On the other, there's a strong emotional pull in a particular direction. Which do you follow? The answer isn't always clear-cut, and that's where the fascinating interplay between emotion and rationality comes into focus. Our emotions aren't just fleeting feelings. They're powerful influencers that can override even the most logical arguments. Think about a time when you knew something was the right choice on paper, but it just didn't feel right. That's your emotional brain at work, and it's not always wrong. Emotions can provide valuable insights, drawing on past experiences and intuitions that our conscious mind might overlook. However, this emotional influence isn't always beneficial. Sometimes our feelings can lead us astray, causing us to make impulsive decisions that we later regret. The key lies in understanding when to trust our emotional responses and when to take a step back and engage in more deliberate thinking. To truly grasp how emotions impact our decision-making, we need to delve into a fascinating aspect of cognitive science: the dual process theory. This theory suggests that our brain operates on two distinct systems of thinking, each playing a crucial role in how we process information and make decisions. The first system, often referred to as System 1, is our intuitive, fast thinking mode. It's automatic, effortless, and heavily influenced by our emotions. This is the system that allows us to make split-second decisions and react quickly to our environment. It's what kicks in when you instinctively swerve to avoid an obstacle while driving, or when you have a gut feeling about a situation. On the other hand, System 2 represents our analytical, slow-thinking mode. This is the deliberate, logical part of our brain that we engage when solving complex problems or making important decisions. It requires effort and concentration, and it's less susceptible to emotional influence. Understanding these two systems is crucial because emotions primarily operate through System 1. When we're in an emotional state, our fast-thinking system can take over, leading to quick, intuitive decisions that may not always be in our best interest. This is where the concept of emotional hijacking comes into play. Emotional hijacking occurs when our emotions overwhelm our rational thinking processes. In these moments, our feelings take control, often leading to impulsive decisions or reactions that we might later regret. It's like our emotions have seized the steering wheel, driving us in a direction that our logical mind might not have chosen. But what triggers these emotional responses? Common emotional triggers include fear, anxiety, and excitement. Fear and anxiety can lead to risk aversion, causing us to miss out on potentially beneficial opportunities. On the flip side, excitement or overconfidence can blind us to potential risks, leading to reckless decisions. Recognizing when we're in the grip of an emotional hijack is the first step towards regaining control. Pay attention to physical cues like increased heart rate, sweating, or a feeling of tension in your body. These can be signs that your emotions are taking over. Mentally, you might notice your thoughts becoming less coherent or more extreme. When you catch yourself in this state, it's crucial to pause and give yourself time to engage your analytical system too before making any important decisions. The consequences of impulsive, emotionally driven decisions can be significant. In personal relationships, they might lead to hurtful words or actions that damage trust. In professional settings, they could result in missed opportunities or poor strategic choices. By learning to recognize and manage these emotional influences, we can avoid many of these pitfalls. So, how can we regulate our emotions to make better decisions? One powerful technique is mindfulness and present moment awareness. Mindfulness involves paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, you can create a space between your emotional reactions and your actions, allowing for more thoughtful responses. Another effective strategy is cognitive reframing. This involves consciously changing the way you think about a situation to alter your emotional response. For example, instead of viewing a challenge as a threat, you might reframe it as an opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective can dramatically change your emotional state and, consequently, your decision-making process. Balancing emotion and logic is not about suppressing your feelings. Instead, it's about incorporating emotional intelligence into your decision-making process. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing and understanding your own emotions and those of others, and using this awareness to guide your thinking and behavior. To achieve this balance, consider using tools like the emotion-reason bridge. This technique involves acknowledging your emotional response to a situation, then consciously engaging your analytical mind to examine the facts. By building this bridge, you can integrate both emotional insights and logical analysis into your decision-making process. Practical exercises can help you develop these skills. Try keeping a decision journal where you record not just the choices you make, but also the emotions you were experiencing at the time. Over time, this can help you identify patterns in how your emotions influence your decisions. Mindfulness meditation is another valuable practice. Even a few minutes of meditation each day can increase your awareness of your emotional states and help you develop better emotional regulation skills. As you work on developing these skills, you might wonder what outcomes you can expect. At a basic level, you'll likely notice an increased awareness of how emotions influence your choices. This awareness alone can be transformative, allowing you to pause and reflect before making important decisions. With continued practice, you can develop an improved ability to regulate your emotions effectively. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather managing them in a way that allows for clearer thinking and more balanced decision-making. The ultimate goal is to consistently make balanced decisions that integrate both emotional intelligence and logical reasoning. This balanced approach can lead to choices that not only make sense on paper, but also feel right on a deeper, intuitive level. Of course, the journey to emotional intelligence in decision-making isn't without its challenges. One common obstacle is difficulty in recognizing emotional biases. We're often unaware of how our feelings are coloring our perceptions and judgments. The solution lies in regular self-reflection practices. Take time each day to check in with yourself, examining your emotional state and how it might be influencing your thoughts and actions. Another potential pitfall is over-reliance on either emotions or logic alone. Some people might dismiss their feelings entirely, trying to make decisions based purely on facts and figures. Others might go to the opposite extreme, basing all their choices on how they feel in the moment. The key is to strive for a balanced approach, giving due consideration to both emotional insights and logical analysis. As we conclude this exploration of emotional decision-making, it's clear that our feelings play a far more significant role in our choices than we often realize. By understanding the interplay between our intuitive and analytical thinking systems, recognizing emotional triggers, and developing techniques for emotional regulation, we can make more balanced, effective decisions. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate emotions from our decision-making process. Our feelings provide valuable information and can often guide us towards choices that align with our deepest values and aspirations. The key is to develop the awareness and skills to ensure that our emotions inform our decisions rather than control them. As we move forward, we'll delve into another fascinating aspect of human cognition that can profoundly impact our decision-making. It's a tendency we all have, one that can lead us astray even when we think we're being objective. In the next chapter, we'll explore a cognitive trap that can cause even the most rational minds to see only what they want to see. Are you ready to confront the hidden biases that might be shaping your perceptions and choices? Chapter 3: Confirmation Bias Traps. Have you ever found yourself in a heated debate, convinced that you're right, only to realize later that you might have overlooked some crucial information? Or perhaps you've wondered why some people seem so resistant to changing their views, even when presented with compelling evidence. These situations hint at a fascinating aspect of human cognition, one that shapes our perceptions, decisions, and beliefs in profound ways. As we navigate the complex world of information and decision-making, we often believe we're being objective and rational. We pride ourselves on our ability to analyze facts and draw logical conclusions. But what if our minds are playing tricks on us? What if, without even realizing it, we're falling into cognitive traps that skew our perspective and lead us astray? This chapter delves into one of the most pervasive and influential of these cognitive traps. It's a tendency that affects everyone, from the average person to the most brilliant minds in science, politics, and business. This bias is so deeply ingrained in our thinking processes that it often operates beneath our conscious awareness, silently shaping our views and decisions. But what exactly is this powerful force that can lead even the most intelligent and well-informed individuals to make flawed judgments? It's a phenomenon known as confirmation bias, and understanding it is crucial for anyone who wants to make more objective, well-informed decisions. Confirmation bias is our tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. It's as if our minds are equipped with a filter that readily accepts information aligning with our views while screening out contradictory evidence. This bias can lead us to make poor decisions, reinforce false beliefs, and resist new ideas that challenge our existing worldview. The importance of recognizing and overcoming confirmation bias cannot be overstated. In a world where we're constantly bombarded with information from various sources, the ability to objectively evaluate evidence is more crucial than ever. Whether we're making personal decisions, forming opinions on social issues, or making business choices, confirmation bias can lead us astray, causing us to overlook important facts and make judgments based on incomplete or skewed information. To truly understand confirmation bias, we need to explore its mechanisms. One key aspect is selective information gathering. When we have a belief or hypothesis, we tend to seek out information that supports it. This might seem logical. After all, why wouldn't we look for evidence to back up our ideas? The problem arises when we do this at the expense of considering alternative viewpoints or contradictory evidence. For instance, if we believe a particular investment is a good idea, we might eagerly read articles praising the investment while glossing over or dismissing reports of potential risks. This selective approach to information gathering can create a false sense of confidence in our decisions, leading us to overlook important factors that could influence outcomes. Another mechanism of confirmation bias is the tendency to interpret ambiguous information in a way that favors our existing beliefs. When faced with data or situations that could be interpreted in multiple ways, we often unconsciously choose the interpretation that aligns with what we already believe. This can lead to a distorted view of reality, where we see patterns and connections that may not actually exist. The impact of confirmation bias on decision-making can be profound. By reinforcing our existing beliefs, it can lead us to become more entrenched in our views over time, even in the face of contradictory evidence. This can result in a kind of cognitive inertia, where changing our minds becomes increasingly difficult, even when presented with new information that should prompt us to reconsider our position. Moreover, confirmation bias can cause us to ignore or dismiss contradictory evidence, potentially leading to serious errors in judgment. In professional settings, This could mean overlooking important risks in a business venture or failing to consider alternative strategies that might be more effective. In personal life, it might lead to persistent misunderstandings in relationships or resistance to beneficial lifestyle changes. So how can we identify our own confirmation biases? Self-assessment is a crucial first step. Start by examining your strongest beliefs and opinions. Ask yourself, how did I form these views? What evidence do I have to support them? Have I actively sought out information that might challenge these beliefs? Pay attention to your emotional reactions when encountering information that contradicts your views. Do you feel a strong urge to dismiss or argue against it immediately? This could be a sign that confirmation bias is at play. Try to approach such information with curiosity rather than defensiveness. Recognizing patterns in your thinking is another valuable technique. Do you tend to frequent news sources or social media accounts that align with your existing views? Do you find yourself quickly agreeing with opinions that match your own without critically examining them? Being aware of these tendencies can help you consciously counteract them. Overcoming confirmation bias requires active effort and a willingness to challenge our own thoughts. One effective strategy is to deliberately seek out disconfirming evidence. This means actively looking for information that contradicts our beliefs or hypotheses. It can be uncomfortable at first, but it's a powerful way to broaden our perspective and ensure we're considering all sides of an issue. Embracing critical questioning is another crucial step. Instead of accepting information at face value, especially when it aligns with our views, we should ask probing questions. What are the sources of this information? What alternative explanations might exist? Are there any weaknesses in the arguments or data presented? Implementing structured thinking processes can also help combat confirmation bias. One such approach is the use of devil's advocacy. This involves deliberately taking an opposing viewpoint to your own, even if you don't actually believe it. By forcing yourself to argue against your own position, you can uncover potential flaws in your reasoning and consider aspects you might have overlooked. Another useful technique is to create a decision-making framework that requires you to consider multiple perspectives before reaching a conclusion. This could involve listing pros and cons, consulting diverse sources of information, or seeking input from individuals with different viewpoints. Practical exercises can help reinforce these strategies and make them a natural part of your thinking process. One effective exercise is to regularly challenge your personal beliefs by exposing yourself to opposing views. This doesn't mean you have to change your mind, but it helps ensure that your beliefs are well-founded and that you understand different perspectives. Critical analysis of information sources is another valuable exercise. Practice evaluating the credibility and potential biases of different sources of information. Look for primary sources and peer-reviewed research when possible, and be wary of sources that seem to confirm your views too readily. As you work on overcoming confirmation bias, you might wonder what outcomes you can expect. At a basic level, you'll likely develop a greater awareness of your personal biases. This awareness alone can be transformative, as it allows you to catch yourself when you're falling into biased thinking patterns. With continued practice, you can develop the ability to analyze information more objectively. This means being able to consider multiple perspectives, weigh evidence fairly, and reach conclusions based on a comprehensive view of available information rather than just what confirms your existing beliefs. The ultimate goal is to make well-informed decisions based on balanced evidence. This doesn't mean abandoning your beliefs or becoming indecisive. Rather, it means holding your views with an appropriate level of confidence, being open to new information, and being willing to change your mind when the evidence warrants it. Of course, overcoming confirmation bias isn't without its challenges. One common obstacle is resistance to contradictory information. Even when we're aware of confirmation bias, we might still feel an emotional pull towards information that confirms our views. The solution lies in practicing open-mindedness. Treat encountering contradictory information as an opportunity to learn and refine your understanding, rather than as a threat to your beliefs. Another potential pitfall is overcompensation, where in an effort to avoid confirmation bias, you might become overly skeptical or indecisive. The key here is to develop clear evaluation criteria for information. This allows you to critically assess evidence without falling into the trap of doubting everything or being unable to reach conclusions. As we conclude this exploration of confirmation bias, it's clear that this cognitive tendency plays a significant role in shaping our perceptions and decisions. By understanding its mechanisms and developing strategies to counteract it, we can make more objective, well-informed choices and develop a more accurate understanding of the world around us. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all biases. That's likely impossible. Instead, we aim to become more aware of our cognitive tendencies and develop habits that lead to more balanced, thoughtful decision-making. By doing so, we can navigate the complex landscape of information with greater clarity and confidence. As we move forward, we'll encounter another intriguing aspect of human cognition that can significantly impact our decision-making process. It's a phenomenon that can leave us stuck in a loop of endless deliberation, paralyzed by the very thing we often believe will lead us to the best decisions. What happens when our pursuit of perfection becomes our greatest obstacle? In the next chapter, we'll unravel this paradox and discover how sometimes less can indeed be more when it comes to making smart choices. Chapter 4: Analysis Paralysis. Have you ever found yourself stuck at a crossroads, unable to move forward despite having all the information at your fingertips? Perhaps you've experienced the frustration of endlessly weighing pros and cons, only to find yourself no closer to a decision than when you started. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In our quest for the perfect choice, we often fall into a trap that can be just as detrimental as making a hasty decision. In today's world, we're bombarded with information from every direction. The internet has given us access to an unprecedented amount of data, and we're told that knowledge is power. But what happens when that power becomes a burden? What if the very tools we rely on to make informed decisions are actually hindering our ability to act? This chapter delves into a phenomenon that affects many of us, especially in an age where information is abundant and options seem endless. It's a state that can leave us feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and ultimately paralyzed. But what exactly is this condition, and why does it occur? To understand this predicament, we need to explore the paradox of too much information. In theory, having more information should lead to better decisions. After all, the more we know, the more informed our choices should be, right? However, reality often paints a different picture. There comes a point where additional information doesn't improve our decision-making. Instead, it hinders it. This state of decision-making paralysis, often referred to as analysis paralysis, occurs when we overanalyze or overthink a situation to the point where a decision or action becomes impossible. It's as if we're caught in a loop of endless deliberation, unable to break free and move forward. But why is understanding and overcoming this paralysis so important? In our fast-paced world, the ability to make timely decisions is crucial. Overanalysis can delay or even prevent decision-making altogether, leading to missed opportunities and stagnation. By recognizing the limits of analysis and learning to navigate the sea of information efficiently, we can enhance our decision-making capabilities and overall productivity. To truly grasp the nature of analysis paralysis, we need to examine its signs and symptoms. Are you constantly seeking more information, even when you have enough to make a decision? Do you find yourself revisiting the same points over and over, unable to come to a conclusion? Perhaps you're plagued by the nagging feeling that you might be overlooking something crucial, leading you to delay your decision indefinitely. These are all indicators that you might be caught in the grip of analysis paralysis. Several factors contribute to this state of indecision. One of the primary causes is the fear of making the wrong choice. In a world where we're often judged by our decisions, the pressure to make the right choice can be overwhelming. This fear can lead us to seek more and more information, hoping to find that one piece of data that will make our decision crystal clear. Another significant factor is the overabundance of options we face in many aspects of our lives. While having choices is generally considered positive, too many options can actually be paralyzing. This phenomenon, known as the paradox of choice, suggests that an abundance of options can lead to anxiety, indecision, and dissatisfaction with our eventual choice. The cost of indecision can be substantial. On a practical level, analysis paralysis can significantly impact our productivity and cause us to miss valuable opportunities. When we're stuck in a cycle of overanalysis, we're not taking action, and in many situations, any decision is better than no decision at all. Moreover, the stress and mental fatigue associated with prolonged decision-making can take a toll on our well-being. Decision fatigue, the deterioration of our ability to make quality decisions after a long session of decision-making, can affect other areas of our lives, leading to poor choices in unrelated matters. So how can we break free from this paralysis and move towards more effective decision-making? One key strategy is setting clear objectives. By clearly defining what we want to achieve with our decision, we can focus our analysis on the most relevant information and avoid getting sidetracked by less important details. Limiting information intake is another crucial step. This doesn't mean making uninformed decisions, but rather being selective about the information we consider. Not all data is equally valuable, and learning to distinguish between essential and non-essential information is a vital skill in overcoming analysis paralysis. Effective decision-making techniques can also help us navigate complex choices more efficiently. One such technique is the 80-20 principle, also known as Pareto analysis. This principle suggests that in many cases, 80% of the results come from 20% of the causes. Applied to decision-making, this means focusing on the key factors that will have the most significant impact on the outcome, rather than getting bogged down in minor details. Time boxing and setting decision deadlines can also be effective strategies. By allocating a specific amount of time for analysis and committing to making a decision by a certain point, we can prevent endless deliberation and force ourselves to act. When faced with particularly complex decisions, breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps can be helpful. This approach allows us to tackle the decision piece by piece, rather than trying to grapple with its entirety all at once. Similarly, prioritizing factors and criteria can help us focus on what's truly important in our decision-making process. Practical exercises can help reinforce these strategies and make them a natural part of our decision-making process. One effective exercise is to practice making decisions under timed constraints. This could involve setting a timer for a specific duration and committing to making a decision before it goes off. This practice can help us become more comfortable with making choices without perfect information. Prioritization drills are another useful exercise. Try listing all the factors involved in a decision, then ranking them in order of importance. This can help clarify which aspects truly matter most and which might be unnecessarily complicating the decision-making process. As you work on overcoming analysis paralysis, you might wonder what outcomes you can expect. At a basic level, you'll likely notice quicker decision-making processes. By learning to focus on essential information and set clear objectives, you can cut through the noise and reach conclusions more efficiently. With continued practice, you can develop the confidence to make informed decisions even in complex situations. This doesn't mean making rash choices, but rather trusting in your ability to analyze the most important factors and move forward decisively. The ultimate goal is to achieve optimal decisions efficiently. This means striking the right balance between gathering necessary information and taking timely action. It's about making well-informed choices without getting bogged down in excessive analysis. Of course, overcoming analysis paralysis isn't without its challenges. One potential pitfall is swinging too far in the opposite direction and rushing decisions without due consideration. The solution lies in finding a balance between speed and due diligence. Develop a process that allows for thorough but efficient analysis of key factors. Another risk is ignoring crucial information in an attempt to simplify the decision-making process. To avoid this, establish criteria for what constitutes essential information for each type of decision you face. This can help ensure you're considering all necessary factors without getting overwhelmed by less relevant data. As we conclude this exploration of analysis paralysis, it's clear that while information is valuable, our ability to process and act on that information is equally important. By understanding the causes of decision-making paralysis and implementing strategies to overcome it, we can navigate complex choices more effectively and confidently. Remember, the goal isn't to make perfect decisions. That's often impossible given the complexities and uncertainties of life. Instead, we aim to make good decisions efficiently, allowing us to move forward and adapt as needed. By doing so, we can break free from the paralysis of overanalysis and embrace a more balanced, effective approach to decision-making. As we move forward, we'll encounter another fascinating aspect of human cognition that can significantly impact our decision-making process. It's a tendency that can lead us to see order where none exists and meaning in the meaningless. What happens when our mind's natural inclination to find patterns goes into overdrive? In the next chapter, we'll explore how this cognitive quirk can shape our perceptions and decisions in ways we might never have imagined. Are you ready to question the very fabric of what you perceive as reality? Chapter 5: False Pattern Recognition. Have you ever looked up at the clouds and seen shapes of animals or objects? Or perhaps you've experienced a streak of good luck and felt certain it would continue. These everyday occurrences hint at a fascinating aspect of human cognition, one that shapes our perceptions and decisions in ways we might not even realize. Our minds are incredible pattern recognition machines. This ability has served us well throughout our evolutionary history, helping us identify threats, find food, and navigate complex social relationships. But what happens when this powerful cognitive tool leads us astray? What if the patterns we perceive aren't really there at all? This chapter delves into a phenomenon that affects all of us, influencing everything from our daily decisions to our broader worldviews. It's a tendency that can lead us to draw connections where none exist, to see order in chaos, and to find meaning in randomness. But what exactly is this cognitive quirk, and why does it occur? To understand this intriguing aspect of our minds, we need to explore the concept of pattern recognition and its evolutionary roots. Our ancestors' survival often depended on their ability to quickly identify patterns in their environment. Those who could spot the telltale signs of a predator or recognize which plants were safe to eat had a significant advantage. This ability to detect patterns and make quick judgments based on limited information became hardwired into our brains. However, in our modern world, this same ability can sometimes lead us astray. We might see patterns in stock market trends that don't actually predict future performance, or we might perceive a string of coincidences as meaningful when they're simply random occurrences. This tendency to find patterns in random data is what we call false pattern recognition. But why is understanding and overcoming this tendency so important? In a world where we're constantly bombarded with information and required to make complex decisions, the ability to accurately interpret data and recognize genuine patterns is crucial. Misinterpreting patterns can lead to poor decisions in various aspects of our lives, from personal finance to professional strategy. Moreover, in an age of big data and advanced analytics, being able to distinguish between meaningful correlations and coincidental patterns is more critical than ever. False pattern recognition can lead us to draw erroneous conclusions from data, potentially guiding us towards misguided actions or beliefs. To truly grasp the nature of false pattern recognition, we need to delve into the psychological concepts of apophenia and patternicity. Apophenia refers to the tendency to perceive meaningful patterns or connections in random or meaningless data. Patternicity, a term coined by science historian Michael Shermer, describes our tendency to find meaningful patterns in both meaningful and meaningless noise. These phenomena stem from our brain's fundamental need for order and meaning. In the face of uncertainty or randomness, our minds often try to impose structure, even if that structure isn't really there. This can be a double-edged sword. While it can help us make sense of complex situations quickly, it can also lead us to see patterns and connections that don't actually exist. Several cognitive biases play a role in false pattern recognition. Confirmation bias, which we explored in a previous chapter, can lead us to notice and remember information that confirms patterns we already believe in, while ignoring or forgetting contradictory evidence. This can reinforce our perception of non-existent patterns. Another relevant bias is the gambler's fallacy, the mistaken belief that if something happens more frequently than usual during a given amount of time, it will happen less often in the future, or vice versa. This leads people to see patterns in random sequences, like believing that after a string of losses, a win is due in a game of chance. Illusory correlations also contribute to false pattern recognition. This is the tendency to perceive a relationship between variables even when no such relationship exists. We might, for instance, notice that two events often occur together and conclude that one causes the other, even when there's no causal link. The impact of false pattern recognition on decision-making can be significant. In business, it might lead to misinterpreting market trends, resulting in poor strategic decisions. In personal finance, it could cause individuals to see patterns in stock prices or economic indicators that don't actually predict future performance, leading to ill-advised investments. Even more broadly, false pattern recognition can contribute to the formation and persistence of superstitions and pseudoscientific beliefs. When we perceive patterns in random events, we might attribute meaning or causality to them, leading to irrational beliefs or behaviors. So how can we avoid falling into the trap of false patterns? One key strategy is developing statistical literacy and critical evaluation skills. By understanding basic statistical concepts and learning to critically assess data, we can better distinguish between genuine patterns and random fluctuations. Seeking empirical evidence and verification is another crucial step. Instead of relying on perceived patterns, we should look for concrete, verifiable evidence to support our conclusions. This might involve conducting controlled experiments, analyzing larger datasets, or seeking expert opinions. Techniques for accurate pattern recognition can also help us navigate this cognitive minefield. One important approach is to question our initial impressions. When we think we've spotted a pattern, we should pause and ask ourselves, is this really a pattern, or could it be a coincidence? What evidence do I have to support this perception? Using analytical tools and methods can also enhance our pattern recognition abilities. Statistical analysis techniques, for instance, can help us determine whether perceived patterns are statistically significant or likely to be random occurrences. Practical exercises can help reinforce these skills. One effective exercise is to analyze random data sets for patterns. Generate or obtain a set of random numbers and practice looking for patterns within them. This can help train your mind to recognize when it's imposing patterns on random data. Exercises in differentiating correlation from causation are also valuable. Practice identifying situations where two variables are correlated but not causally related. This can help develop a more nuanced understanding of relationships between different factors. As you work on developing these skills, you might wonder what outcomes you can expect. At a basic level, you'll likely develop an increased awareness of false pattern recognition. You'll become more attuned to situations where you or others might be perceiving patterns that don't actually exist. With continued practice, you can develop the ability to critically evaluate perceived patterns. This means not just recognizing when you might be seeing false patterns, but also having the tools to assess whether a pattern is likely to be genuine or coincidental. The ultimate goal is to make decisions based on accurate data interpretation. This doesn't mean becoming cynical or dismissing all patterns as illusory. Rather, it's about developing a balanced, critical approach that allows you to recognize genuine patterns while avoiding the pitfalls of false pattern recognition. Of course, developing these skills isn't without its challenges. One potential pitfall is overlooking genuine patterns in an effort to avoid false ones. The solution lies in using rigorous statistical methods to evaluate patterns, rather than relying on intuition alone. Another risk is becoming overly skeptical, dismissing all patterns as potentially false. The key here is to maintain balanced critical thinking. Recognize that patterns do exist in the world, but approach them with a discerning eye, always seeking evidence and verification. As we conclude this exploration of false pattern recognition, it's clear that while our pattern-seeking tendencies have served us well throughout our evolutionary history, they can sometimes lead us astray in our modern world. By understanding this aspect of our cognition and developing skills to critically evaluate perceived patterns, we can make more accurate judgments and better informed decisions. Remember, the goal isn't to suppress our pattern recognition abilities entirely. They remain a valuable cognitive tool. Instead, we aim to refine these abilities, coupling our intuitive pattern recognition with critical thinking and empirical verification. By doing so, we can harness the power of pattern recognition while avoiding its potential pitfalls. As we move forward, we'll encounter another intriguing aspect of human decision-making that can profoundly impact our choices and beliefs. It's a phenomenon that can lead us to abandon our own judgment in favor of the collective, sometimes with startling consequences. What happens when our desire for harmony and belonging overrides our critical thinking? In the next chapter, we'll explore how the power of the group can shape our perceptions and decisions in ways we might never have imagined. Are you ready to question the influence of the crowd on your own thoughts and choices? Chapter 6, Group Thinking Pitfalls. Have you ever found yourself agreeing with a group decision, even though you had doubts? Or perhaps you've been part of a team that seemed unstoppable, only to realize later that you'd collectively made a serious error. These situations hint at a fascinating aspect of human behavior, one that can profoundly influence our decisions and actions when we're part of a group. We often think of groups as a source of strength and wisdom. After all, isn't there power in numbers? Don't we value teamwork and collaboration? While these beliefs hold truth, there's a darker side to group dynamics that can lead us astray in ways we might not expect. This chapter delves into a phenomenon that affects teams, organizations, and even entire societies, often operating beneath the surface of our awareness. But what exactly is this hidden force that can turn the collective strength of a group into a potential liability? To understand it, we need to explore the delicate balance between harmony and critical thinking in group settings. We'll uncover how our natural desire for consensus and belonging can sometimes override our better judgment, leading to decisions that no individual member would have made on their own. The importance of understanding this group dynamic cannot be overstated. In our interconnected world, few significant decisions are made in isolation. Whether in business, politics, or our personal lives, we often rely on collective wisdom to navigate complex challenges. But what if that collective wisdom is flawed? What if the very process of coming together as a group sometimes hinders rather than helps our decision-making? To truly grasp the nature of this phenomenon, we need to delve into the concept of groupthink. Coined by social psychologist Irving Janis, groupthink refers to the tendency for groups to make irrational or dysfunctional decisions due to a desire for harmony or conformity. It's a state where the desire for consensus overrides the need for critical evaluation of alternative viewpoints. Groupthink can manifest in various ways, but one of its core features is the prioritization of harmony over accuracy. In a group affected by groupthink, maintaining a united front becomes more important than making the best decision. This can lead to a situation where group members suppress their own doubts or concerns to avoid disrupting the perceived consensus. Another key aspect of groupthink is how it can suppress critical thought. In a healthy group dynamic, diverse perspectives and constructive disagreement can lead to more robust decisions. However, in a groupthink scenario, dissenting voices are often silenced or ignored, either through explicit pressure or subtle social cues. Several symptoms can indicate the presence of groupthink in a group. One of the most prominent is the illusion of invulnerability. This is a shared belief that the group can't fail, leading to excessive optimism and risk-taking. members of the group may feel that their collective intelligence and capabilities make them immune to errors or external threats. Another symptom is the rationalization of warnings. When faced with information that contradicts the group's beliefs or decisions, members may collectively dismiss or explain away these warning signs. This can lead to a dangerous situation where the group ignores critical feedback or evidence that should prompt a reassessment of their course of action. Pressure to conform is another hallmark of groupthink. This can manifest as direct pressure on dissenters to fall in line with the majority view, or as a more subtle self-censorship, where individuals refrain from voicing doubts to avoid being seen as disloyal or uncooperative. Understanding the causes of groupthink can help us recognize and prevent it. One common factor is a homogeneous group composition. When a group lacks diversity in backgrounds, experiences, or perspectives, it's more likely to fall into groupthink. This homogeneity can create an echo chamber where existing beliefs are reinforced rather than challenged. Directive leadership can also contribute to groupthink. When a leader strongly states their preferences at the outset of a discussion, it can discourage other group members from expressing contrary views. This can lead to a situation where the group's decision-making process becomes more about validating the leader's opinion than critically evaluating all options. A lack of structured decision-making methods is another factor that can pave the way for groupthink. Without a clear process for evaluating options and making decisions, groups may default to quick consensus rather than thorough analysis. The consequences of groupthink can be severe. At best, it can lead to suboptimal decisions that fail to consider all relevant factors or alternative viewpoints. At worst, it can result in catastrophic failures, especially when high-stakes decisions are involved. Groupthink can blind a team to potential risks, leading to overconfident actions with dire consequences. Moreover, groupthink can lead to ethical oversights. When a group is caught in the grip of groupthink, it may rationalize unethical actions or ignore moral concerns in pursuit of its goals. This can result in decisions that not only fail practically, but also violate ethical standards or legal requirements. So how can we prevent groupthink and foster healthier group dynamics? One key strategy is to encourage open dialogue and debate within the group. This means creating an environment where dissenting opinions are not just tolerated, but actively encouraged. Leaders and team members alike should make it clear that critical thinking and constructive disagreement are valued. Assigning specific roles, such as a devil's advocate, can also be effective. This involves designating someone to intentionally challenge the group's assumptions and decisions, regardless of their personal views. This role can help ensure that alternative perspectives are considered and that the group doesn't rush to consensus without thorough evaluation. Bringing in external perspectives can provide a valuable safeguard against groupthink. This might involve consulting with experts outside the group or seeking input from individuals with different backgrounds or areas of expertise. These external viewpoints can help break the echo chamber effect that often contributes to groupthink. Fostering healthy group dynamics goes beyond just preventing groupthink. It involves actively promoting diversity of thought within the team. This means not just assembling a diverse group, but also creating an environment where all members feel empowered to share their unique perspectives. Establishing norms for constructive criticism is another crucial step. This involves setting clear expectations that disagreement and critical feedback are not just acceptable, but valuable contributions to the group's process. It's important to teach and model how to give and receive criticism in a way that's respectful and productive. Practical exercises can help reinforce these principles and make them a natural part of a group's functioning. One effective exercise is to conduct group discussions with assigned critical roles. This might involve dividing the group into subteams, each tasked with arguing for a different perspective or solution to a problem. This can help members practice considering multiple viewpoints and engaging in constructive debate. Workshops on effective team communication can also be valuable. These might focus on skills like active listening, asking probing questions, and providing constructive feedback. By improving these fundamental communication skills, groups can create an environment more conducive to open dialogue and critical thinking. As groups work on developing these skills and practices, they might wonder what outcomes they can expect. At a basic level, increased awareness of groupthink is a valuable first step. When team members understand the concept and can recognize its symptoms, they're better equipped to guard against it. With continued practice, groups can develop the ability to facilitate open, critical discussions effectively. This means not just allowing for diverse opinions, but actively drawing them out and integrating them into the decision-making process. The ultimate goal is for teams to consistently make well-reasoned decisions. This doesn't mean achieving perfect consensus on every issue. Rather, it's about reaching decisions that have been thoroughly vetted, with all relevant perspectives considered and potential pitfalls examined. Of course, improving group dynamics isn't without its challenges. One common obstacle is resistance to diverse opinions, especially in groups with a strong existing culture. The solution lies in actively cultivating an inclusive culture where diversity of thought is not just accepted, but celebrated. Another potential pitfall is the dominance of strong personalities within the group. Some individuals may naturally command more attention or influence, potentially drowning out other voices. Implementing structured participation techniques can help ensure that all members have the opportunity to contribute, regardless of their natural assertiveness or status within the group. As we conclude this exploration of group thinking pitfalls, it's clear that while groups can be a source of collective wisdom and strength, they also carry the risk of collective error. By understanding the dynamics of groupthink and implementing strategies to promote healthier group functioning, we can harness the power of collaboration while avoiding its potential drawbacks. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate all agreement or to create constant conflict within groups. Instead, we aim to foster an environment where diverse perspectives are valued, critical thinking is encouraged, and decisions are made based on thorough, open-minded evaluation rather than a rush to consensus. As we move forward, we'll encounter another crucial aspect of decision-making that can significantly impact our choices and outcomes. It's an approach that promises to bring clarity and structure to even the most complex decisions. But can a framework really capture the nuances of real-world decision-making? In the next chapter, we'll explore a powerful tool for navigating difficult choices. Are you ready to discover a method that could transform the way you approach decisions, both big and small? Chapter 7, Smart Decision Framework. Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads, faced with a decision that seems too complex to unravel? Perhaps you've experienced the frustration of making choices that seemed right at the time, only to lead to unexpected and unwanted outcomes. What if there was a way to approach these decisions with greater clarity and confidence? Throughout our lives, we're constantly making decisions, from the mundane to the life-altering. Yet, despite the frequency with which we face choices, many of us lack a systematic approach to decision-making. We often rely on intuition, past experiences, or the advice of others without truly analyzing the situation at hand. But what if we could harness the power of a structured approach? What if we could bring order to the chaos of complex decisions and navigate even the most challenging choices with greater ease and effectiveness? This chapter introduces a powerful tool that promises to transform the way you approach decision-making. It's not about relying solely on gut instinct or getting lost in endless analysis. Instead, it's about finding a balance between thorough evaluation and practical action. The importance of having a framework for decision-making cannot be overstated. In a world of increasing complexity and rapid change, the ability to make sound decisions consistently is more crucial than ever. A well-designed framework ensures that we approach each decision with consistency and thoroughness, enhancing both the quality and efficiency of our choices. But what exactly does a decision-making framework look like? At its core, it's a structured approach that guides us through the process of making a choice, from identifying the problem to implementing and reviewing the decision. It's not a rigid set of rules, but rather a flexible guide that can be adapted to various situations and contexts. The benefits of using such a framework are numerous. It helps us avoid common pitfalls like overlooking important factors or rushing to conclusions. It provides a clear path forward when we're faced with overwhelming options or conflicting priorities. Perhaps most importantly, it gives us confidence in our decisions, knowing that we've approached them in a systematic and thorough manner. Let's dive into the steps of this SMART decision framework, exploring how each stage contributes to more effective decision-making. The first step in any decision-making process is to clearly define the problem or opportunity at hand. This might seem obvious, but it's a step that's often overlooked or rushed. Without a clear understanding of what we're trying to achieve or resolve, we risk making decisions that don't address the real issue. Identifying the core issue involves digging deeper than surface-level symptoms. It requires asking probing questions and considering the broader context of the situation. Are we addressing the root cause or just a symptom? What are the underlying factors contributing to this issue? Once we've identified the core issue, the next part of this step is to set clear objectives and goals. What exactly do we hope to achieve with this decision? What does success look like? By establishing clear targets, we create a benchmark against which we can evaluate our options and measure the success of our eventual decision. With a clear problem definition and objectives in place, the next step is to gather and analyze relevant information. This involves determining what data we need to make an informed decision and where to find it. It's not about amassing as much information as possible, but rather focusing on quality over quantity. Assessing the quality of information is crucial in this step. In today's information-rich world, we need to be discerning about our sources. Are they reliable? Is the information up to date? Does it directly relate to our specific situation? By critically evaluating our information sources, we can ensure that our decision is based on solid foundations. Once we have a clear understanding of the problem and relevant information, it's time to generate alternative solutions. This is where creativity comes into play. Brainstorming techniques can be particularly useful here, allowing us to think beyond the obvious solutions and consider a wide range of possibilities. Encouraging creative thinking in this stage is crucial. It's about suspending judgment temporarily and allowing ourselves to explore unconventional ideas. Sometimes the best solutions come from unexpected places, so it's important to create an environment where all ideas are welcome. With a range of alternatives on the table, the next step is to evaluate these options systematically. This involves establishing clear criteria for evaluation based on our objectives and the specific context of the decision. What factors are most important? How do we weigh different considerations against each other? Tools like SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, can be particularly useful in this stage. They provide a structured way to assess each option from multiple angles, helping us to see both the potential benefits and drawbacks of each alternative. After thorough evaluation, we reach the pivotal moment of actually making the decision. This involves weighing the pros and cons of our top options and considering both short-term and long-term effects. It's important to remember that perfect decisions are rare. Our goal is to make the best choice possible given the information and resources available. Once a decision is made, the focus shifts to implementation. This step involves developing concrete plans for putting the decision into action. It's about translating our choice into tangible steps, allocating resources, and assigning responsibilities. A great decision is only as good as its execution, so this step is crucial for turning our choice into reality. The final step in our framework is to monitor and review the outcomes of our decision. This involves tracking key performance indicators and being prepared to adapt if things aren't going as planned. It's about maintaining flexibility and being willing to pivot if new information or changing circumstances require it. To truly internalize this framework, it's helpful to apply it to real-life situations. Try using this approach for personal decisions, starting with smaller choices to get comfortable with the process. As you gain confidence, you can apply it to more significant decisions. For those in business or leadership roles, simulating complex decision scenarios can be a valuable exercise. This might involve creating hypothetical situations or revisiting past decisions to see how applying the framework might have led to different outcomes. As you begin to use this SMART decision framework, you might wonder what outcomes you can expect. At a basic level, you'll likely find that you're able to apply the framework to simple decisions with greater ease and confidence. You'll have a clear process to follow, reducing the stress and uncertainty often associated with decision-making. With practice, you can expect to use the framework effectively in more complex situations. You'll be able to break down intricate problems into manageable components, systematically evaluate options, and arrive at well-reasoned decisions, even in challenging circumstances. The ultimate goal is to integrate this framework into your daily decision-making practices. When this happens, you'll find that you approach choices, big and small, with a consistent, thorough methodology. This doesn't mean every decision becomes a lengthy process. Rather, you'll develop the ability to apply the framework quickly and intuitively to a wide range of situations. Of course, implementing any new approach comes with potential pitfalls. One common issue is the tendency to overcomplicate the process, especially when dealing with relatively straightforward decisions. The solution is to remember that the framework is a tool, not a rigid set of rules. Feel free to simplify or skip steps as appropriate for the situation at hand. Another potential problem is ignoring intuition in favor of pure analysis. While the framework emphasizes systematic evaluation, it's important not to discount the value of gut feelings and intuitive insights. The key is to find a balance, using the framework to guide and inform your decisions while still leaving room for intuition to play a role. As we conclude this exploration of the SMART decision framework, it's clear that having a structured approach to decision-making can significantly enhance our ability to make sound choices. By following these steps, from clearly defining the problem to implementing and reviewing our decisions, we can navigate even the most complex choices with greater confidence and effectiveness. Remember, the goal isn't to make perfect decisions every time. That's an impossible standard. Instead, we aim to make the best possible decisions given the information and resources available to us. By consistently applying this framework, we can improve the quality of our choices over time, leading to better outcomes in both our personal and professional lives. As we move forward, we'll encounter a situation that challenges even the most robust decision-making frameworks. What happens when time is of the essence and the luxury of thorough analysis is not an option? In the next chapter, we'll explore how to make smart choices when the pressure is on and every second counts. Are you ready to discover how to think clearly and act decisively when the stakes are high and time is short? Chapter 8: Emergency Decision Protocols. Imagine a scenario where every second counts, where the consequences of your choices could be life-altering, and where the luxury of time for careful deliberation is simply not available. How do you make the right call when the pressure is mounting and the clock is ticking relentlessly? We've all faced situations where we've had to make quick decisions, but some circumstances demand an entirely different level of rapid response. These are the moments that test our mettle, pushing us to the limits of our decision-making abilities. But what if there was a way to prepare for these high-stakes situations? What if we could develop the skills to think clearly and act decisively even when the world around us seems to be in chaos? This chapter delves into a critical aspect of decision-making that often goes overlooked until it's too late. We're about to explore the realm of emergency decision protocols, strategies and techniques that can help us navigate through the storm of high-pressure situations with greater confidence and effectiveness. The importance of mastering emergency decision-making cannot be overstated. In critical moments, the ability to make quick, effective decisions can mean the difference between success and failure, and in some cases, even life and death. But it's not just about the immediate outcome. How we perform under pressure can have lasting impacts on our confidence, reputation, and future opportunities. Moreover, being prepared for emergency decisions doesn't just benefit us in extreme situations. The skills and mindset we develop can enhance our decision-making abilities in all aspects of life, helping us stay calm and focused even in less dire circumstances. To truly understand emergency decision-making, we need to examine the nature of high-pressure situations. These scenarios are characterized by several key factors: time constraints, high stakes, incomplete or overwhelming information, and often the need to coordinate with others under stressful conditions. In these situations, the need for both speed and accuracy creates a challenging balancing act. We can't afford to freeze or delay, but rushing into a poor decision could be equally disastrous. This is where emergency decision protocols come into play, providing a framework for making the best possible choices under less than ideal circumstances. One of the key theories underpinning emergency decision-making is naturalistic decision-making, NDM. This approach studies how people make decisions in real-world settings, particularly those characterized by time pressure, high stakes, and uncertain conditions. NDM recognizes that in these situations, the classical model of decision-making, with its emphasis on comprehensive analysis and comparison of all options, simply isn't feasible. Instead, NDM focuses on how experienced decision-makers use their expertise and intuition to rapidly assess situations and make effective choices. This doesn't mean relying solely on gut feelings, but rather leveraging a deep well of experience and knowledge to quickly recognize patterns and select appropriate courses of action. The role of experience in NDM cannot be overstated. Experts in high-pressure fields develop a keen ability to recognize familiar patterns in complex situations, allowing them to make rapid, intuitive decisions that often prove highly effective. This is why experienced firefighters, for instance, can sometimes make life-saving decisions in mere seconds. They're drawing on a vast reservoir of similar experiences. However, this doesn't mean that emergency decision-making is solely the domain of seasoned experts. By understanding the principles of NDM and developing appropriate protocols, we can all improve our ability to make effective decisions under pressure. One key aspect of emergency decision-making is the use of heuristics, mental shortcuts that allow us to make quick judgments based on limited information. In high-pressure situations, these heuristics can be invaluable, allowing us to cut through complexity and arrive at workable solutions rapidly. For example, the recognition-primed decision model, a cornerstone of NDM, suggests that in emergencies, decision-makers often rely on recognizing similar situations from their past experiences. They then rapidly evaluate whether the course of action that worked in the past will work in the current situation, adjusting as necessary. However, it's crucial to recognize the potential pitfalls of relying solely on heuristics. While these mental shortcuts can be incredibly useful, they can also lead us astray if applied inappropriately. Over-reliance on heuristics can result in biased decisions or a failure to recognize novel aspects of a situation that require a different approach. This is why developing robust emergency protocols is so important. These protocols provide a structured approach to decision-making that can guide us even when our intuition might be clouded by stress or incomplete information. Developing effective emergency protocols involves several key steps. First and foremost is pre-planning and scenario analysis. This means anticipating potential emergency situations and thinking through possible responses in advance. While we can't predict every possible scenario, having a repertoire of pre-considered responses can significantly enhance our ability to react effectively when emergencies do arise. Establishing clear guidelines and procedures is another crucial aspect of emergency protocols. These should be simple enough to remember and implement under stress, yet comprehensive enough to cover a range of potential situations. The goal is to create a framework that can guide decision-making without becoming so rigid that it can't adapt to unexpected circumstances. Of course, even the best protocols are of little use if we can't maintain our composure under pressure. This is where stress management techniques come into play. Learning to stay calm and focused in high-pressure situations is a skill that can be developed with practice. Techniques for rapid calm and focus can include controlled breathing exercises, mental rehearsal of emergency scenarios, and mindfulness practices. The key is to find methods that work for you and to practice them regularly so they become second nature when you need them most. Effective communication is another critical component of emergency decision-making. In high-pressure situations, the ability to convey information clearly and concisely can be just as important as the decisions themselves. This involves not only articulating your own thoughts and decisions effectively, but also being able to quickly absorb and process information from others. Coordinating team efforts in emergencies requires a special set of communication skills. It's about striking a balance between providing clear direction and remaining open to crucial input from team members. Establishing clear communication protocols in advance can help ensure that vital information flows efficiently, even in the most stressful situations. Training for emergency decisions is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Simulations and drills play a crucial role in this training. By regularly practicing decision-making in simulated high-pressure scenarios, we can build the mental muscles needed to perform effectively when real emergencies arise. Learning from past incidents, both our own and those of others, is another vital aspect of improving our emergency decision-making skills. By carefully analyzing the decisions made in previous high-pressure situations, what worked, what didn't, and why, we can refine our protocols and enhance our intuitive understanding of how to handle similar situations in the future. Practical exercises can help reinforce these skills and make them a natural part of our decision-making repertoire. Role-playing emergency scenarios is one effective approach. This involves setting up realistic simulations of high-pressure situations and working through them as if they were real. The key is to make these simulations as immersive as possible, introducing elements of time pressure, incomplete information, and the need for rapid communication. Quick decision-making drills are another valuable exercise. These might involve presenting a series of rapid-fire scenarios that require immediate responses. The goal isn't always to find the perfect solution, but to practice making reasonable decisions quickly and confidently. As we work on developing these skills, it's natural to wonder what outcomes we can expect. At a basic level, consistent practice and preparation should lead to a fundamental competence in high-stress decision-making. This means being able to maintain composure under pressure and make reasonably sound decisions, even in unfamiliar emergency situations. With continued development, we can aspire to effective leadership under pressure. This involves not only making good decisions ourselves, but also being able to guide and coordinate others in high-stress situations. It's about creating an atmosphere of calm purposefulness that can help an entire team perform effectively in emergencies. The ultimate goal is to achieve mastery of emergency decision protocols. This doesn't mean we'll never make mistakes or feel stress in high-pressure situations. Rather, it means developing such a deep familiarity with emergency decision-making principles that we can adapt and apply them fluidly across a wide range of scenarios. Of course, developing these skills isn't without its challenges. One common issue is the tendency to freeze under pressure, especially in unfamiliar situations. The solution lies in regular exposure and practice. The more we familiarize ourselves with high-pressure decision-making, even in simulated environments, the less likely we are to freeze when faced with real emergencies. Another potential pitfall is overconfidence. As we become more skilled in emergency decision-making, we might become overly reliant on our intuition or past experiences, potentially overlooking crucial details in new situations. The antidote to this is a commitment to continual learning and feedback. We should always be open to new information and willing to adjust our approaches based on evolving best practices and lessons learned from each experience. As we conclude this exploration of emergency decision protocols, it's clear that while we can't predict or control when emergencies will arise, we can certainly prepare ourselves to handle them more effectively. By understanding the principles of naturalistic decision-making, developing robust protocols, honing our stress management skills, and committing to ongoing training and improvement, we can significantly enhance our ability to make sound decisions under pressure. Remember, the goal isn't to eliminate stress or uncertainty from emergency situations. That's likely impossible. Instead, we aim to develop the skills and mindset that allow us to think clearly and act decisively, even in the most challenging circumstances. By doing so, we not only improve our ability to handle emergencies, but also enhance our overall decision-making capabilities in all aspects of life. As we move forward, we'll explore a dimension of decision-making that goes beyond individual choices or even emergency protocols. What happens when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture of our decision-making journey? How can we ensure that each choice we make isn't just a standalone decision, but part of a larger strategy for continuous improvement and growth? In the next chapter, we'll uncover a powerful approach that could transform not just how you make decisions, but how you approach life itself. Are you ready to take your decision-making skills to the next level and beyond? Chapter 9, Beyond Smart, Your Critical Thinking Action Plan. As we reach the final chapter of our journey through the landscape of smart decision-making, it's time to look ahead. You've gained valuable insights into the intricacies of critical thinking, explored the pitfalls that can derail even the sharpest minds, and discovered powerful strategies to enhance your decision-making prowess. But the true value of knowledge lies in its application. How can you take these lessons and transform them into a tangible, lasting improvement in your life? This chapter is about bridging the gap between knowledge and action. It's about taking the concepts we've explored and weaving them into the fabric of your daily life. We're not just aiming for incremental change, we're setting the stage for a fundamental shift in how you approach decisions, big and small. The power of what you've learned in this book cannot be overstated. You now possess the tools to enhance your self-awareness and boost your confidence in decision-making. Complex choices that might have once seemed overwhelming can now be navigated with greater ease and effectiveness. You've gained the ability to recognize cognitive biases, avoid common thinking traps, and apply structured frameworks to your decision-making process. But the impact of these skills extends far beyond your individual choices. Improved critical thinking can significantly enhance your relationships. With a more nuanced understanding of decision-making processes, you're better equipped to communicate your thoughts clearly and understand the perspectives of others. This increased empathy and improved communication can lead to more effective conflict resolution, strengthening both personal and professional relationships. Consider for a moment what you're now capable of that might have seemed out of reach before. You can recognize and avoid critical thinking mistakes that may have tripped you up in the past. You have the ability to apply structured frameworks to complex decisions, breaking them down into manageable components and analyzing them systematically. These are not small achievements. They represent a significant leap in your cognitive capabilities. As you continue to practice the concepts outlined in this book, you'll find that your decision-making skills improve with less and less conscious effort. What once required careful thought and deliberate application will begin to feel more natural and intuitive. You'll develop automatic critical thinking habits, processing information more efficiently and making sound decisions more quickly. But this journey to enhanced decision-making is ongoing. It's crucial to remember that the pitfalls we've discussed, from emotional decision-making to groupthink, are persistent challenges that require ongoing vigilance. The importance of continuous development cannot be overstated. Each decision is an opportunity to refine your skills and deepen your understanding. To truly capitalize on what you've learned, it's essential to assess your current decision-making skills honestly. This self-evaluation isn't about criticism, it's about identifying your strengths and areas for improvement. Reflect on recent decisions you've made. How did you approach them? What worked well, and where did you struggle? This introspection forms the foundation for your personal growth plan. With a clear understanding of your current abilities, you can set meaningful personal growth goals. These should be clear, achievable objectives that align with your personal and professional aspirations. Perhaps you want to improve your ability to make decisions under pressure, or maybe you aim to enhance your skill in facilitating group decision-making processes. Whatever your goals, make them specific and measurable. Developing a critical thinking toolkit is another crucial step in your ongoing journey. This toolkit should include the essential resources and strategies you've learned about, from decision-making frameworks to techniques for overcoming cognitive biases. But it should also be dynamic, growing, and evolving as you continue to learn and encounter new challenges. Building new habits is where the rubber meets the road in your critical thinking journey. It's not enough to know these concepts. You need to incorporate them into your daily routines. This might involve setting aside time each day for reflective thinking, practicing mindfulness to enhance your emotional awareness, or regularly challenging your assumptions on important issues. Don't underestimate the value of external perspectives in this process. Seeking feedback and mentorship can provide invaluable insights into your decision-making processes. Build a supportive network of individuals who can offer constructive criticism and share their own experiences. This external input can help you identify blind spots and refine your approach. Of course, this journey won't always be smooth sailing. You'll encounter obstacles, face setbacks, and sometimes struggle to stay motivated. The key is to view these challenges as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. Develop strategies for dealing with resistance, both internal and external. Stay committed to your goals, even when progress seems slow. Regularly monitoring your progress is essential for long-term success. Schedule regular check-ins with yourself to assess how you're doing. Are you applying the concepts you've learned? Are you seeing improvements in your decision-making outcomes? Be prepared to make adjustments to your approach as needed. And don't forget to celebrate your achievements along the way. Recognizing your progress will help keep you motivated. As we conclude this book, it's important to embrace the concept of lifelong learning. The field of decision science is constantly evolving, with new insights and strategies emerging regularly. Stay curious, remain open to new ideas, and never stop seeking to improve your critical thinking skills. The impact of smart decisions on your future cannot be overstated. Every choice you make, from the seemingly insignificant to the life-altering, shapes the path of your life. By committing to ongoing improvement in your decision-making abilities, you're not just enhancing a skill, you're transforming your future. And here's the truly empowering realization. As you continue to refine your critical thinking and decision-making skills, you'll find that your ability to shape your life and impact the world around you grows exponentially. You'll become not just a smart decision-maker, but a visionary, someone who can see possibilities where others see obstacles, who can navigate complexity with confidence, and who can inspire and lead others to make better choices. This is the ultimate payoff of your journey through this book and beyond. You're not just learning to make better decisions, you're unlocking your potential to create the life you envision and to make a meaningful impact on the world around you. Every smart decision you make ripples outward, influencing not just your life, but the lives of those around you. You have the power to be a catalyst for positive change, to solve problems that once seemed insurmountable, and to seize opportunities that others might miss. As you close this book, remember that this is not the end of your journey, but rather the beginning of a new chapter in your life. You now possess the tools, the knowledge, and the mindset to approach each day with renewed clarity and purpose. Every decision, no matter how small, is an opportunity to apply what you've learned and to further refine your skills. But knowing how to make smart decisions is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in consistently turning those insights into concrete actions. What if there was a way to bridge this gap between knowledge and application? To truly master the art of critical thinking, you need to delve deeper into the practical techniques that can transform your decision-making prowess into tangible results. The solution to this crucial next step in your journey awaits in the audiobook. From Insight to Action: Practical, Critical Thinking Techniques. Tap the center of the video now to continue your transformation journey.